All right, welcome back to Soul Spark Tarot. I'm your host, Mr. Renew, and today we got ourselves yap number two. Feel like I should have did this first, but it's all right. It's all right. So our overall energy for today was finding a new solution over bickering, over fights, over little annoyances. Five of candles kind of energy. So it's just things that will repeat over and over and over and over and over. Things that will make you just say, "Oh, I'm sick and tired of it now." But that only happened because of a period of time. So I'm kind of in the same boat, I can say, in a certain regard. It's hard, I think, because I don't know why I'm smiling so much. I guess it's because, again, it's the Five of Wands energy or Candles energy. It's not all in this deck. Um, it's more so the little things. It's childlike shit. It's just things that are happening over and over and over. It's not even a problem, and then it becomes a problem because it's been happening over time. Think about it like a water fountain or a faucet just dripping loud as fuck all night. But it's only been an hour. It's only been an hour, right? So that hour has felt like so long. And then you say, damn, I got to do this for another 6 hours. Fuck that. Like that's that Five of Candles energy. It's lighter, it's more annoying, but it's more common, it's more general. That's the vibe. So it's cool to see that's why the strength came out because you had strength to overcome a lot of these things, but everyone has their breaking point. So that is where the Ace of Candles come in. That breaking point is cool because now you've broken with a new understanding. Okay, this is how it's going to be. Come down to a new conclusion. And it's important to be able to acknowledge what you're changing and how you're changing. I was listening to, I think, Goddess Empress, and she was talking about how, yeah, Goddess Energy, I'm sorry. And she was talking about how the most important thing that you need to know about anything is your energetic self. So you can always call you back. And it's funny, that's so funny because my a little annoyance, I had dreams. Again, I woke up, this a Reiki healing as I was, in my sleepy state. Ended up going back to sleep. And then, I had recalled some time frames for when, I was a kid and the times where I had to come home and I had different indicators, that would let me know I had to get my ass home. And so there was like times where, I would be into whatever me and my friends are doing and then I hear my name being called from down the street like an echo. And I was like, boom, my heart would instantly sink because I knew damn, I'm in trouble. Like, cause then I'll look around and I'll see the other indicator and they already be flagging. So it like, oh man, what do I do? I just gotta go there and accept the consequences. So I'm saying that because it's funny. I feel like that's what this Five of Candles energy is like. Like for me at least, that was the dream that I had. I had another dream after that too, and there's one thing that's sticking out, but I didn't. By the end of the dream, I realized that it was in reference of me. It was this girl in my dream, and it was in reference. She was talking about like having her husband, and we were just working together, and as we were working together, it became nighttime, and it was about time to call it, to go to sleep. And I just went in there and got under the covers with her, cuddled right on top. She put her legs on me and shit, and sitting there laying on her stomach as if she was pregnant. And I'm looking up at her, and then it just made me realize I was the husband that she was referring to, and I felt real good. And then I woke the fuck up. But I, yeah, those are kind of dreams that you would want. The night before, it was something similar, but it was a little more nasty, you know, a little nasty. But to have these two dreams back to back after, not real, I dream when I'm supposed to. And, with being full moon, full eclipse, this is energy that's telling me like these are the little bickerings that's been moving out and allowing this new light to come in. And it's coming in small, obviously, because things are in 3 dimensions. It starts off small, gets big as fuck, and then it goes down to being small again. And that's one sequence or one cycle or one 3 dimensional thing passing through a 2 dimensional space. And the reason why I'm bringing this up like this is because of the little annoyances. It's the little things, that, damn, I got to have 3 steps for one step now. What the fuck? Like, it's the small things to know that it does take the extra work, but it's required to give you the minimal amount. So that gets frustrating. But when you start to realize that you can repeat that process to the point to where those minimal amounts become a maximum amount, now you can value that situation a little bit more and possibly even learn a new technique, a new skill, a new approach. And that's what this Ace of Wands is. This Ace of Wands is allowing us to tell ourselves new ways to do the same old things. And so for me, because I don't dream often, and because this person has been in my dreams fucking numerous amounts of times, and in addition to me finally reading that little passage in the book, it's allowing me to understand everything that she's been saying in a different way. But it's a way specifically and directly geared towards a person like me. The book I'm reading is about North Nodes and South Nodes. And again, I always got to get refreshed. You always got to refresh yourself. So as I've gotten older and I reread this book in the certain areas, oh, come on. Jan Spriller, Astrology for the Soul. It's a North Node, South Node book. I think that a lot of that information in there is super applicable, but when I have first read it, I have read it from my house placement. So, my fourth house, and that is Cancer. So, I read the Cancer aspects, and then I read through the Aquarius aspects. And now I just read through some of the fourth house Cancer aspects, but I've been reading into the Aquarius side. And I read them both again, but I've been reading back, and I was brought to that Aquarius passage, and well, it was a few that I read, but it's about two things really. My ego, and it's weird because the Aquarian, they have huge egos just like the Leo, and huge, but they're different. So it's like Steven Spielberg having a huge ego about the movies that he creates and writes and direct, but then the actors portraying his films that he has a huge ego about has to have that same matched ego in order to really bring that grandiose scale that the writer slash director is trying to convey. You can't have a small fry conveying something huge if you want something big to be shown. It's just a scale metric. There's no anything else about that. It's a scale metric. You can't put something that is, you know, 2 feet round in a space that's only a half a foot round. You can't do that. But you can easily put something that's half a foot round in a 2 foot space. We're still not talking about that neither. The idea is I want that shit to match and be perfect. 2 foot space, maybe with a changeable 2 foot space, maybe a little bit less, and then it rotates and we call this a different shape, like a ball versus like an oval ball, It is us being able to see the differences between things that match up. And we know that things aren't going to match up perfectly, which brings me to the passage that I read, which was the ego. My ego comes in the form of not what is typically portrayed. My ego presents itself in a way that allows people to see me be great, but hold myself to a standard. They can't comprehend the standard. The standard is on the inside, which is why certain behaviors are exuded on the outside. One of those things is I don't like to get help for people. I don't like to ask for help. I feel like my shit is the best way. And guess what? All of those things are true. The problem is the people, they don't know what to receive from me when it's my way or the highway. Think about it like this. It's not necessarily you have to leave, but it's a blockage from you trying to convey information to me in the future. Meaning you feel as if I'm going to judge you or portray some kind of like insecurity and project upon you because you notice the standard that I carry for myself and you think I'm going to hold you to the same standard. Now, again, some Aquarians might actually do that. I see myself doing that in the sense of romantic relationships. Like, there's a part of me that's like, well, I know what part of me it is, but the part of me that's like, woo, let's just go out there and be free is always matched with the other part of me that's like, hell no, pick and choose, overly picky. And then there's the Aquarian side of me that understands both sides, but that motherfucker be so snooty, it just doesn't even want to deal with the shit that's right in front of me. It rather me go over here and do something else, that I can do by myself without the aid of another or needing to connect with somebody else. So I have noticed that those things do kind of hinder me, but I can only see those things in retrograde or in reflection. Um, that's because whatever I'm projecting that whatever I'm really is trying to protect about the part of me that I'm prideful in, that makes me be accepting of who I am in totality, that part of me I'm trying to preserve. And because I'm always trying to preserve that part that I'm deeming to be special within me, I'm afraid that if I express some of that specialities, then people will again take advantage of it, harm it, not care about it as much as I do, and then guess what? Boom! Now I'm back being cold hearted. I'm iced off because the part of me that was the warmth was handled improperly. So it's not about like just having trust issues. It's about, again, having something that you care so much about that you don't want anybody else to fuck with it. That like you want to preserve it, in other words. But that's hard because it's not really a bad thing, but you got to understand it is a control thing. So how does this relate to the energies? Again, the bickering aspects. That is the idea of me bickering myself for certain things. And so in the case of romance, I can accept what accepts me. So exchanging that pure precious part of me, it doesn't have to immediately happen. They can get the vote, right? And then inside of the vote, they still have to go through series of, rites of passages to get to that space in order to prove themselves to be worthy. And that's just credentialing yourself. Again, if you don't have the credentials for a job, you won't be able to get that job most likely. Again, and it's just terms of generalizations, most likely, less likely, for the simple fact that we're all different and situations are all different. So when you put different situations with different people, you get different outcomes relative to the same projection or rubric. So this new space that we're stepping into with this newfound Ace of Candles is allowing us to see some of those projections upon ourselves in a slightly new, different way. And so if I've been avoiding this person that I've been having in my dream because of good things and bad things that I've already made up in my own mind about the situation just to protect the fact that I want to have shit on my own. I want to establish something on my own. Now, since I've changed that point of view, I don't need to have those things first. I can build up. I can help others. I can not be afraid that layers of what I'm choosing to protect myself with are coming off because people still haven't gotten to the core of me. So I can practice letting go and letting people interrange with the outer layers that I'm willing to let go and lose anyway. I'm willing to let these little fights go, these little annoyances, these little particulars, these ways of doing things. I'm willing to let that shit go because I'm still protecting the most important core side of me. And now, since I'm like realizing that things can shuffle in and out outside of me, and I'm still protecting and having and caring for that super duper special part inside. Because of that, I can start to now adjust how I'm interacting with the world, and I can pay attention to what get closer and what doesn't. And I don't have to be as worrisome about that special super duper core space inside of me being tainted, being hurt, being hard, being mistreated, mishandled, any of those things that we would do to protect something. Here's another point of view. In other words, you're realizing, if you're a parent, that your child is growing up and they can protect themselves more and more and more. They can be their own protection, and I don't have to protect in the same way as I once did. I have more experiences exchanging layers of me that I'm now willing to give up and release. Those are the things that I'm feeling with these bickerings. That's just how it's expressing out of itself within me and how I'm handling these energies with my own self. I'm allowing myself to view all of these energetic exchanges, whether they're to or fro, whether they're near or they're far. I'm allowing myself to really see how I handle things. And what I've noticed is that I can tell the differences between two energies now, which is why I'm always attracted to one of the energies like all the time. And I'm using other energies as a distraction from that one. But as bad as that seems, that's what I need because my ego can't fill that person up as much as I would want to do it. In other words, the grandiose scale that I want to be portrayed by this actor, if I'm the director, Steven Spielberg, I want to make sure that that person can put all of their energy out into a space to where I can see the same matched grandiose vision. But again, because it's projected from Steven Spielberg, nobody will ever be able to fill that space up. So that's the same Aquarian energy on the inside ego. And no matter how much I show this person I love them, they will never understand or have that capacity for me to fully love them as much as I possibly could because it's always a growing aspect. So if it's infinitely filling up and this is a person who can't infinitely expand and receive, then eventually things burst like a water balloon, like a balloon, and then pops. It just, again, like water boiling and then it boils over. There's always some capacity, and because the Aquarian can bear emotions and bear logic, you're filling people up twice as fast. So then if you are in a physical presence around these people, now you can actually give it at a triple the rate. So that it only takes a little bit to fill a lot of people up. And that's hard for a lot of people to receive because again, they're full. So, and if you're full, you got to release. And if you can't release, you get constipated and things like that. You get bloated, things start going haywire. So it makes a lot of sense that if I was to approach this person who's repeatedly in my dream ever since I met her, I can start to see that I can interact with her through the outside layers before she gets to the main core. Because again, I've had dreams about being at that core space with her already. So I'm familiar as fuck with that energy. and I'm not as familiar with the exchanges outside of that energy. So it's like a part of me has been protecting something that I feel like I've been gifted with, just the vision to see the dream that I had. I'm just feel like I'm blessed with that in and of itself. Everything else manifesting, like I said, on the physical side will fill up way quicker. So if I didn't have external things to focus my attention on, I felt like I would be creating the resistance, as she would say, between the two objects opposed to the attraction. But I feel like it's been hard for me to do that because I'm always very blunt, cut off, and short and cold. Icebox, Aquarian. Again, in order to protect and preserve what I feel like it's really happening. So I'm trying to listen and do what she say, but at the same time, still listen and do what I'm trying to say. Because there's two different approaches that are happening right now, two different strategies to approach. One person, again, is bickering. This is the Five of Candles. One person is like, it should happen this way. Another person is like, it should happen that way. And then, we're all fighting because we just can't agree how to fucking walk to the store. It's something like that. And in this case, how do we get around each other so we can fall in love? Like, how do we integrate ourselves? Because again, big grandiose energy, you have your own way. That famous actor is going to want to do certain things his own way, just like that famous director is going to want to do things a certain way. We have to start to see these two things operate and then become more of a team. And again, this is why I focus so much on the self part, because I'm here telling you a yap session about what I'm experiencing because I'm so familiar with the energies of myself. But I'm not as familiar with the energies that people use to speak about their own selves, which is why I love listening to people. But I'm talking to people so they can come and be more attracted to what I'm saying so they can understand that I'm hitting parts of them that they either know or don't know, but I've gone beyond the level at which a lot of people are at. So I can say and speak things and explain things in a certain way that, again, with enough traction, people will be attracted to me and find their way towards me in the right space at the right time. But I know that I'm a picky ass person because I'm at where I'm at. Again, a seventh grader is not going to spend too much time with a first grader if they don't have to, just at a different level, different occupying spaces, occupying different spaces that are being occupied. They're occupying two different spaces in a single time frame. So that means they're on two different timelines. It is important to understand that leads to this little small annoyances, these bickerings. It's not the case of something always huge and grandiose. Small shit over time equals a foot. For my, it takes a centi of something to create a kilo or something. Like, we have understandings of things growing. We have to start to grow. And again, my my way of handling the energies that I've been expressing for you guys, my solution is to not be afraid to be an in-betweener. I've been practicing being an in-betweener, studying that for a long time, but being in between allows us to see both sides. So I've not only been a teacher, I've been a student at a low level and at a higher level. But because I'm a teacher and a student at the lows and the highs, I can now be okay with when I'm shifting between either of those states, which is I'm an in betweener. I can be okay being the smartest in the room and the dumbest in the room, and I can shift for any stage in between. So because I understand that energy a lot more better than me in myself now, opposed to when I first met this person, I couldn't even understand it whatsoever, which is why I even sought her help. But I was trying, and I noticed how I was influencing the people around me and the things that I was doing to help me anyway that was on a positive scale. So I got them involved too. I got my students involved. And so This person gave me and my students a session, and I value that so much because my students appreciated her videos too. So it is an understanding that I'm trying to bring to myself in a new light because I can help people just the same without needing to feel all the acclaim. I don't have to acclaim to be the top inside of the film when the film is the top of all films. Everybody included in that movie is automatically subjected to that top status. So when people are in my classroom and I have high standards for myself, then you already understand that by default, my students are going to have high standards as well. So then I'm going to not only just give them high standards, I'm going to give them ways to make new standards upon their own selves. And we're going to practice this all year. And by the end of the year, you'll see the difference. So by the end of this time frame that's been annoying you, you're now able to see the difference. You got a whole new point of view and a whole new space. So I'm the things that I ran away from, I'm going back to slowly but surely because I have a lot of solutions for her already. I have them, but I'm afraid that she doesn't have the solutions for me that I need. But she had them initially, and that's what attracted me to her in the first place and got the kids involved. So why would it be any different now? The only difference is if that person is willing. And because I have to understand that people are willingly showing themselves in different ways, I need to be the one that's a polyglot. I need to be able to be attuned to how people interact and speak to themselves. So it's like speaking multiple language outside of us, we can be more attuned to the different cultures we speak to. But on the inside, we have the same things. Our energies or the me is going to interact with people differently externally. So if I can be familiar with my energy in all of those situations, then I can always call that energy back to me. But if I'm trying to introduce somebody else to a different part of my own energy that I feel like they would like, they already probably see that energy in a certain way that may be too much or not, maybe not enough. So the idea is both sides need to learn to interact between the layers that they're willing to give up. It might be hard if a person immediately jumps to the core, super duper special part inside of you that you want to protect. But you got to understand, time is a buffer. Since time is a buffer, it's going to allow us to see the little annoyances and then not see them and then have them come back up different way. And we got to be able to acknowledge these little things, just like in a 50-year-old marriage. You got to be able to forgive. So I'm willing. I hope you're willing. I hope the world is willing. And I hope we grow through these things and not be afraid to call out those who are not willing. Because that holds us all back and we're all a team. So thank you for listening to me yap. I'll see you on the next track, baby. Yeah. And with that being said,